Assalamualaikum dear CSS parents. Welcome to this important lecture on Islamic governance, divine guidance and ethical leadership. So a topic that holds significant relevance for multiple areas of the CSS syllabus including Islamiyat, general knowledge, essay and current affairs. So in this session we will explore how Islam provides a comprehensive, ethically grounded and practically applicable model of governance through the Quran, Sunnah and Islamic jurisprudence. Islamic governance is not merely about power and authority, it is a divine responsibility guided by principles like justice, consultation, accountability and public welfare. So these concepts not only shaped early Islamic civilization but continue to offer timeless values for modern statecraft, especially in the context of countries like Pakistan where Islamic ideology informs constitutional and administrative ideals. Through this lecture you will understand what governance means in both general and Islamic terms, how the Quran and Sunnah provide a model for just rule, and the legal framework offered by Islamic jurisprudence, and how these principles can be applied in today's world. To help you retain and apply this knowledge, you will also get PDF notes for revision, MCQs in Google Form to test your preparation, a practical understanding to help you in analytical and theoretical answers in exam. So let's begin this journey toward understanding how Islamic envisions governance not as control but as service to humanity under divine guidance. So concept of governance refers to the process by which decisions are made and implemented. It includes managing public affairs, making policies and ensuring justice and welfare. It is not limited to political systems but also involves social, religious and administrative frameworks. In Islam, governance is not merely a worldly duty, it is a sacred trust from Allah. The core principles of governance in Islam are justice with power, transparency in decision making, protection of public interest, upholding the rights of people. For example, Khilafah Umar ibn al-Khattab would patrol the streets of Medina at night to personally hear and solve the grievances of the citizens. Qur'anic foundations of governance. So governance in the light of Quran, the Quran presents governance as a divine responsibility grounded in moral and ethical foundations. So key Quranic values that govern leadership include justice, consultation, trustship. So all decisions must be based on fairness even against oneself or loved ones. And consultations, leaders must not act unilaterally but seek advice from capable individuals. And trustship, authority is a trust, not a privilege. Leaders are answerable to both God and people. Quranic reference. So, O you who believe, do not betray Allah and the messenger or betray you trust while you know the consequences. For example, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, implemented these principles in the formation of the constitution of Medina, ensuring justice and rights for both Muslims and non-Muslims. Governance in the Sunnah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the ideal role model of governance. His leadership demonstrated a perfect balance between divine guidance and practical wisdom. So key traits of his governance are equality, no special privileges based on tribal status. Then accessibility, he regularly consulted and engaged with public. And transparency, public wealth was managed openly without corruption. And humility means despite being the head of the state, the Prophet, peace be upon him, lived a simple life and served the people. For example, when a noble woman committed theft and people requested her pardon, the Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, even if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, stole, I would cut off her hand. Then key governance practices from the Sunnah of the Prophet would drive key governance mechanisms that are essential for an Islamic government, like consultation, regular meetings with companions before important decisions, and fair judiciary, justice was provided to all regardless of their background, and public welfare, resources were allocated for the benefit of the people. Accountability, leaders were held responsible for public matters. For example, after the Battle of Uhud, the Prophet consulted the companions about the next steps, teaching us the importance of inclusive decision making. Islamic jurisprudence framework. Fiqh or Islamic jurisprudence offers a comprehensive framework for political and administrative matters. Rules on leadership, selection and responsibility, independence of judiciary, protection of public rights, limits of executive power. So Islamic jurists like Imam al-Mawardi, Abu Yusuf developed detailed models of governance based on both Qur'an and Sunnah. For example, al-Mawardi outlines the qualifications of a ruler, their duties, and how justice must be served in Islamic governance. Then we will discuss applications of governance principles in Islam. So Islamic governance is not idealistic theory, it is a practical model that can be implemented in modern societies. So justice and equality are not negotiable, and leaders are trustees. Public participation through Shura and Ijma are consensus. Public participation and social justice and economic welfare are essential. For example, during the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abu Talib, even a Jewish citizen sued him and the judge ruled fairly without favoring the Khalifa, proving Islam's commitment to equality before the law. Now we'll discuss relevance for Pakistan. So is an Islamic Republic. Pakistan Constitution is based on Islamic values. The principle of Islamic governance align with democratic ideals, and justice and rule of law support transparency, aman and accountability, fight corruption. Zakat and Waqf and Baitul Mal can build a welfare state. For example, if Pakistan fully activates its Zakat systems, it could provide education, healthcare and shelter to millions of underprivileged citizens without relying on foreign aid. So Islamic governance combines divine guidance with real world leadership. It is a system built upon the pillars of justice, consultation, accountability, welfare. So the Quran, Sunnah and Islamic jurisprudence provide a complete and timeless model of ethical leadership. In today's world, Islamic governance is not only relevant, it is urgently needed to address moral decay, corruption and inequality. So leadership is not a privilege, it is a test. He who leads with justice and succeeds. So he who betrays it will be held accountable. So in conclusion, Islamic governance is a balanced system rooted in divine wisdom and practical responsibility. It integrates moral authority with administrative efficiency, ensuring that rulers act not as masters but as servants accountable to both the creator and community. So through the principles of justice, consultation, trust, welfare, Islam lays down a timeless framework for just and inclusive governance. So as CSS aspirant, you are not only preparing for an exam but for potential leadership roles in society. So understanding Islamic governance will enrich your answers in Islamiyat, essay and current affairs, while also deepening your appreciation of how faith and governance intersect in the real world. So don't forget to download the PDF notes for revision, attempt the Google from MCQs linked below to test your understanding. Stay motivated, stay consistent, and remember, leadership is not about power, it's about responsibility and service. May your journey towards civil service be guided by knowledge, clarity and purpose. Best of luck for CSS 2026.